Okay, we're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Vice President DiGirolamo would go ahead and read the Open Public Meeting Act statement.
This meeting is called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Law. This meeting of June 19, 2018 was included in a list of meeting notices sent to newspapers of record and posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building and has remained continuously posted as the required notices under the statute. In addition, a copy of this notice has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the municipal clerk.
Okay, we'll go ahead and stand for the invocation of the flag salute, please.
Dear God, bless us all as we are here today to conduct matters of business. Please look over us. Help us to make good decisions for the town of Phillipsburg, state of New Jersey, United States of America. God bless.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call vote, Vicki. Folks, if we could just go ahead and keep it down, please. Roll.
President Phillipsburg.
Here.
Council Vice President DiGirolamo.
Here.
Councilman Davis.
Here.
Councilman Lutz.
Here.
Councilman McVeigh.
Here. If we may, I'd like to make a motion to amend the agenda to do the proclamation before the payment of bills.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Lutz.
Yes.
Councilman Davis.
Yes.
Council Vice President DiGirolamo.
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh.
Yes.
Council President Phillipsburg.
Yes. So if the members of the Firthtown Falcons will join us up here. How are you? Whereas established in 1948 as the Firthtown Boys Club, now known as the Firthtown Youth Sports Organization, Mr. William Fauerbach and Mr. J.R. Coyle were the founding fathers. Mr. Walt Putzler and Mrs. Cecilia Honey were instrumental in bringing the club to the next level. Whereas the Firthtown Falcons of Phillipsburg U10 boys basketball team, coached by head coach Matthew Skirbo Sr. and assistant coach Ricky Sexton, completed a successful 2017-2018 basketball season in the CBL U10 division. Whereas on March 25, 2018, the Firthtown Falcons finished undefeated and beat the Easton Saints by a score of 57-49 in the CBL U10 Boys Championship game. This gave the Falcons an undefeated season of 15-0 and a record of 44-1 over the past 3 years, along with 3 consecutive championships, 2 in the CBL U9 Boys Division and 1 in the CBL U10 Boys Division. Whereas the following are the 2017-2018 Firthtown Falcons roster: Matthew Skirbo Jr., Dylan Sexton, Ian Cryan, Jonathan Rodriguez, Chris Housel, Manny Reyes, Craig Fox, Antoine Manning, Jaden Rodriguez, EJ Royale, Camden Douglas, and Nazir Barrett.
Yes, sir. Wow. Well done, hopefully. These young people should be recognized for their outstanding performance and their achievements obtained as a result of their hard work and determination. Whereas the town of Phillipsburg will ever be indebted to the officers, coaches, parents, and relatives of these outstanding organization for the never-ending dedication to our youth, accomplished by our countless hours of organizing, coaching, and participating in the various fields and arenas, and that had allowed the teaching and understanding of true sportsmanship to be handed down throughout the club's rich history. Let it be known that on Monday, June 4th, 2018, the governing body of the town of Phillipsburg recognizes the Firthtown Youth Organization for its dedication and hard work in all aspects as an exemplary organization. Congratulations.
Congratulations, boys. You're very welcome.
No, I just want to thank the
town of Phillipsburg and town council for their support over the years with the Kirktown Falcons. They're always there. If the kids need anything, I just want to thank them, and I want to congratulate the team again. These kids come and work hard every day, and they accomplish these goals, and it makes me very proud to be able to coach this team over the years. It's 3 years now. Let's hope for a good outcome for next year as well. Thank you.
Good job, bud.
We'll go ahead and let the kids clear out of here before we continue. Okay, we can go ahead and move forward with the payment of bills. Bill list, Vicki.
Current fund, $240,631.76. State and federal grant, $5,540.14. Capital fund, $1,846.39. Sewage utility fund, $581,639.17. Section 8, $4,336.02, for a regular bill list of $833,993.48. The Section 8 rent payments, $145,142. The prepaid bill list, the agency fund, $150,056.72. For a grand total of all funds, $1,129,192.20.
Thank you, Vicki. Motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Discussion?
Yep, I do. I'd like to pull 72993. At least for discussion, unless we have an immediate answer.
72993.
It's to Supley Clooney and Company for $37,000 for the audit.
Okay.
We budgeted $20,000, so that's $17,000 over.
From my memory, that's $37,000 was what their RFP came in at last year. I think.
Well, we only put $20,000 in the budget, and the other audits that were charged, one says for the library, which there was also another charge for another auditing firm for the library, and the other was for Section 8, and nothing was in the budget lines. It said $20,000 straight.
From the 2017 budget?
2018. This wouldn't be applied to the 2017 budget, right?
This would be 2017.
Yeah, because
It gets expensed to 2017's budget?
I think we budgeted it from, it's because it's for the 2017 year.
It
so I think
is.
we budgeted it for 2017. It's because the service performance.
Okay, it usually tells us if it's
I
going
think,
in the previous
yeah.
year.
I think Councilman Davis is correct. I do believe that it was.
It'll usually tell us that. It did not tell us that.
I'm okay with keeping it tabled, Councilwoman, if you'd like to.
Unless the mayor knows.
That's fine. Is the Supley Clooney bill from the 2017 budget or the 2018 budget?
2018 budget.
Okay.
So it is over. Then I'd like to pull it. That's it.
If I may, Council President,
Yes, Mayor.
they did a presentation and you accepted the report. I don't know how you would reverse that.
It's the bill.
I know it's the bill, but you're going to have to go back and tell them,
We didn't vote on the audit that night. We actually tabled it.
vote on it.
Right, we tabled it. We didn't accept it.
All right.
Was that all, Mayor?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's it?
Thanks.
Councilman McVeigh? Good, sir. Councilman Davis?
Good, thank you.
And I am good as well. So we can vote on the bills list as amended. We will be tabling bill number 72993 in the amount of $37,000 for Supley Clooney and Company.
I'll make a motion to adopt as amended.
Second.
Okay. Roll call vote, Vicki?
Councilman Lutz?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Council Vice President DeGrova?
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh?
Yes.
Council President Polk?
Yes. Okay, so the next is the discussion is Mary Beth Ringo from the Municipal Alliance here? Okay, it doesn't appear that Ms. Ringo is in the room. So what we'll do is we can just go ahead and put her on hold. If she happens to come later, we can go ahead and let her go. The next is the public comment on agenda items. So this is public comment specifically on agenda items. Step to the podium, state your name and address for the record, please.
Alan Amy, 71 Lewis Street, Phillipsburg, New Jersey. 2018-13, to cut funds from the Firth Youth Center?
No, sir. What that does is we have rewritten the Chapter 5 Administration of the Government. We removed Section 92, which states that the department may have an agreement with the Firth Youth Center. We currently do not have an agreement. So as we were rewriting that section, what we've done was we have removed that language because it's no longer valid. The Youth Center has terminated their agreement with the town. Now that does not cut funding. The funding has still been allotted for the 2018 year in an amount of $20,000. So that funding is still available.
Okay. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Sandra Morissette, 5 Fairview Heights. I still have some questions about 2018-103, excuse me. I'm not necessarily expecting answers, but I am expressing concerns. I'm not sure how the removal of the town's 210 units to the Housing Authority affect the community. Absentee landlords with Section 8 are definitely a problem in this town. But since 1978, the town has controlled the landlord issue by having direct control over their rentals. The town knows exactly where their units are. The town does not know where all our Section 8 housing is, even though the town has asked the county, the state, and the federal government for this information. Mr. Rummerfield mentioned during our June 12th Town Council work session that he planned to create more green space by removing some of the buildings and then putting in a recreation centre. I was a bit confused since I thought the town already had a recreation centre that is easily accessible from the projects. So this then begs the second question: where will the residents go whose housing will be dismantled under this idea of Mr. Rummerfield's? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morissette. Is there anyone else?
Bill Tillman, 230 South Main Street. Question on 2018-09, the town of establishing an energy aggregation program. Is that going to be available to all the town residents if it's a program that is accepted or voted on as far as a better discount than they're offering to us as a individual resident at this point?
Sure. Councilwoman?
Yes, they discussed it's all residents. It would not benefit businesses. It would not benefit any commercial, but all residents by default will be switched over to that plan. You would have to opt out to not be part of it. The only exception, I believe they said, was anybody that has a different third-party bill.
Would that be able to be?
Like solar or something like that.
Well, I'm saying if you're already on a program through a different vendor, it would be an automatic conversion, or you have?
No, it's only those that are currently using JCP&L, I believe.
Right, but I'm saying everybody's using JCP&L.
Only, no, not for their energy delivery.
Yeah, so if you, I personally have a contract with a third-party supplier. JCP&L is still my utility to deliver the electricity to my house, but I will not be automatically included because I already have a year-long contract with a third-party supplier. So people who already have a contract, and which might incur a penalty for leaving, will be automatically excluded and not require opt-out. Everyone else will be automatically opted in unless they choose to opt out, and you can opt out or opt in at any time with no penalty.
Will we be advised by some sort of communication on what the plans are and what the savings are?
I believe they said there will be a mailer indicating your right to opt out if this is adopted, and it'll have the details about how you will do that.
Okay,
in the
thank
letter.
you.
You're welcome.
Good evening. Dan Papper, 56 Berkeley Avenue, Berkeley Heights. Although I don't live in town, we do own a lot of properties. I am partners with 2 other gentlemen. We own 11 properties in town and 15 units. Primarily, we're about 80% rent to Section 8. All our properties get fully renovated. All the permits and inspections are done. They're all up to par. Everybody comes in. I have no issues. Some of the issues I have is all my properties do have pest control programs for the yearly basis. The reason why we have that is for the absentee landlords. Unfortunately, we take the hit for that. My concern is transferring the Section 8 program over to the Housing Authority as well. We've had houses since 2005 here. We've been dealing with Bonnie when she was here, Gina, Ted, Nancy, everybody. My question and concern is, what service are my tenants going to get, and what's going to change for us as landlords? I emailed you, Council President, as well as the Mayor a couple weeks ago, and maybe I had the wrong email address, I don't know. I never got anything back. I wouldn't have come to the meeting if I just got a quick answer. I don't know if we have an answer to that, or...
No, I apologize. Our email was migrated. Do you remember around what time?
It was the day before the council meeting 2 weeks, or 2 weeks ago. I guess when it came up, I wanted to make sure it wasn't getting voted on because I wanted to go. I had to work that night. I wanted to make sure I was available.
Yeah, I apologize. I didn't get that email. Mayor, did you get that email?
Neither did I.
So it's possible when our email was migrated. So I do apologize before normally I would answer. Are you asking if there's going to be a vote this evening, or are you asking what impact it's going to have on? So what impact would it have?
On my tenants mostly. I mean, and you guys, you know, your platform is to deal with absentee landlords. Like I said, I implore you to come to my properties. We have 11 properties. I'll drive the car. You know, I mean, we'll go look at them. They're all fully renovated. A couple of my tenants are here tonight. We have no issues. You know, we're trying to buy some of these houses that are dilapidated and run down. We have bids on houses that bank has owned for 3 years. You know, we can't get anywhere. You know, we love the town. You know, I'm here.
Thank you.
I'm here 4 or 5 days a week. You know, out of the week, working on the houses and checking on everybody and stuff like that. So we have a vested interest, even though I don't physically live here. I'm here more than I am home. So my concern is, for the past 13 years, we've been dealing with primarily Section 8 and mostly, you know, people that came out of the Housing Authority, which I haven't heard very good stories. That's why they're coming out and renting our places. My concern is, are they going to get the service that they have now? And what effect does it have on us? And what are the benefits, you know, as a taxpayer?
Sure. Well, I can tell you from my research, and I can only speak from my research because we've never implemented this program before, right? Mm-hmm. My research states that there will be no change. I couldn't promise you that. I couldn't promise you that it won't change. I can't make that promise. I know a couple of my colleagues here have done some research, so I will defer to them. I know Councilwoman DiGirolamo and Councilman Davis have done enough research where they would be able to answer those questions for you.
Okay.
So, sure, Councilman. Thank you.
I understand your concern, and I appreciate it. And the compromise I'm hoping Council will consider this evening, based after Mr. Rummerfield came by, is a shared service agreement with the town, where the servicing of the units and the tracking of the units would remain a function of the town, and they would use our office as the tracking unit for their vouchers.
Your office, as in the town hall?
Of Phillipsburg, yeah. So we would work together where all of our folks would stay in place. And
so it wouldn't be a total turnover?
That's correct. And I'm hoping Council will consider that this evening, because based on Mr. Rummerfield's discussion with us, that would still suffice for their application for the PBB of RAD. Mm-hmm. So that'll be my proposed amendment. I'm hoping Council will consider that, because I think it seems like a fair compromise between the concerns of the two parties.
Councilman, that was we do the tracking, correct? I just want to be sure my notes are correct.
I think the resolution we pass this evening would be to give the Mayor's office the ability to negotiate that contract, but it would come along with the guidance that the expectation is that those folks would remain in place to manage that section, but would be in partnership with the application for the PBB of RAD.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman? No.
Okay. Like I said, as a survey from my tenants, which I spoke to over the past week, the service they get, I mean, they've been on the program for a very long time, and I have a good relationship with my tenants, and they have a good relationship with the town and stuff, and they're actually quite concerned of where it's going to go, and they're going to kind of be pushed to the wayside, you know, and that's not what we're doing here. I mean, like I said, your whole platform was to revitalize, and that's what we're doing, you know, so that's a big part of it, you know.
Well, I'd love to take a look at your property someday.
Call me up, I'll buy you lunch.
You don't have to buy me lunch, but I absolutely will take you up. Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
You're very welcome.
I'm not buying you lunch. Reggie Regret, 390 Heckman Street, Phillipsburg. It is nice to see so many concerned citizens. I say that with all sincerity. I should be coming to council meetings more often. I didn't have a chance to look at the agenda. I understand there's a topic of a vote of no confidence on Mayor Ellis's performance.
No, sir.
No, sir, what?
No, there will not be a vote this evening.
Oh, it's not on the agenda?
No, sir.
Can you tell me why it's not on the agenda?
Did you want it to be on the agenda? We didn't.
Well, why was it put on the agenda?
It was not put on.
I mean, why was it even being considered?
It was never placed on the agenda.
But why was it being considered?
I'm not going to get into that this evening.
Oh, okay. No. I'm just glad.
No.
I have complete confidence in Mayor Ellis.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Rager, for your comment. Thank you.
David Morissette, 5 Fairview Heights, Phillipsburg, New Jersey. I would like to urge the Town Council to table Resolution 2018-107. I would like the Town Council to walk back the local ethics committee. Currently, there is a state ethics committee where if there are ethics complaints against officials, town officials, those complaints can be taken to the state ethics committee. Town Council President Robert Fulper had some very wise words in the last week or two regarding another situation where there would be adjudication. And Town Council President Fulper said that adjudication should take outside of the local jurisdiction because of issues with partisan politics. I believe, and many other people in the town believe, partisan politics do exist in Phillipsburg. And because of that, that taints any local ethics committee, and it should be moved back to the state. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Morissette, for your comment. Is there anyone else? Okay. That being said, we can move forward then to ordinances for a second reading, which would be ordinance 2018-09, an ordinance of the town of Phillipsburg establishing an energy aggregation program.
Second.
Discussion? It's open to the public. Discussion amongst council. Okay, roll call vote, Vicky.
Councilman Lutz?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Council Vice President DeGirolamo?
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh?
Yes.
Council President Fulper?
Yes. Ordinance number 2018-09, ordinance of the town of Phillipsburg establishing an energy aggregation program has passed successfully. The next on the agenda would be ordinance 2018-010, an ordinance of the town of Phillipsburg, County of Warren, State of New Jersey, deleting chapter 540.1, the deputy town attorney position, created appointment of the code of the town of Phillipsburg.
So moved. Second.
Open to the public. Okay, Discussion amongst council. Roll call vote.
Councilman Lutz?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Council Vice President DeGirolamo?
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh?
Yes.
Council President Booker?
Yes. Ordinance number 2018-010, ordinance of the Town of Phillipsburg, County of Warren, State of New Jersey, deleting Chapter 540.1, Deputy Town Attorney position created. Appointment of the Town of Code of the Town of Phillipsburg has been successfully passed. Ordinance number 2018-11, an ordinance of the Town of Phillipsburg, County of Warren, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing Code Section 100-16.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion. Discussion for council. Roll call vote, Vicki?
Councilman Lutz?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Council Vice President DeGirolamo?
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh?
Yes.
Council President Booker?
Yes. Ordinance number 2018-11, an ordinance of the Town of Phillipsburg, County of Warren, State of New Jersey, amending and supplementing Code Section 100-16 has successfully passed. We now move forward to the ordinances for the first reading, which is Ordinance 2018-12, an ordinance of the Town of Phillipsburg, County of Warren, State of New Jersey, amending Ordinance 2017-16 regarding a salary guide for the unclassified employees. Do you need a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Yeah, I do. I just want to get to it, unless somebody else is ready. So there was one on here. This list, just for clarification, is supposed to be unclassified employees only.
Correct.
We have a job description on here that was deemed to be a classified job description. So I asked that we either change the job description to unclassified or we remove it.
I think in order to do that, Councilwoman, we would have to, if we just discuss the positions and not the employee council, do we need to send out Rice?
Because the position is filled, then we need a voice notice.
It is not.
It's not filled. Okay.
Advertised but unfilled, I believe, and I think the mayor may have changed it.
Okay.
That would be the superintendent of recreation. Previously, it was a director of recreation, which was unclassified. This says superintendent, which is a classified position.
So you'd like to amend that?
So it would fall under the civil service, which would deem it not part of this ordinance.
No issue whatsoever.
Unless you want to change it to director, and we'll just change the language.
The title's not important.
Okay, so we would be amending the proposed salary ordinance, removing the superintendent of recreation, correct?
Yes. Only because it's a classified position.
It's not a classified.
Right. Yeah, it is a department head, so it's not. But this is for classification.
It's for this is for.
It's for.
Unclassified.
It says unclassified.
Unclassified.
Correct. So that's correct. So it's okay.
These are all non-civil service titles.
Correct. And that's what we determined. It was a civil service title.
The superintendent of recreation
Correct.
was a civil service title. That's.
It was
okay.
previously
I understand.
listed as director. Yeah.
If the mayor is not opposed to changing the title from superintendent to director, it can stay on the list. If you are, we can then. You want to make
the only question I would have.
You need to speak into the mic, not to him.
Wait.
Thank you.
The only question I would have is the unclassified or the classified title being required to have an exam.
No.
Okay.
No, I think we just
Classified
stopped.
does not.
Thank you.
So it stays recreation director. It's not needed and can stay.
Okay, so we would amend that then to recreation director.
Right, because there is a civil service title that's superintendent of recreation.
Correct.
It does require an exam, so.
Correct.
Correct.
So we need to clear on, so we're going back to director of recreation. which is
If you want to
not-
do that, it can stay and we just change it.
Yes.
That's fine.
In the same terms.
Is there more terms? There's lots of time.
Okay. I'll motion to approve as amended.
I do have a question.
Do you have a question? Councilman McVeigh?
I just was looking for the resolution from 2017 that was up. I have a question regarding the Human Resources Manager.
It's filled. I don't think we can discuss that, Councilman. Oh, no, it is not filled. You can discuss it.
I don't know if Vicki can recall. I know it's 2017, 177, 160, it rings a bell to me, but I believe that resolution lost 3-2 on the floor in 2017. I don't recall it ever being brought up, at least during this council's tenure. I'm not sure why that title with that range is on this matrix. Unless I can get clarification from the mayor.
It can certainly be removed. It basically took the place of the BA. We had no BA, and we substituted it for the BA.
We can't do that.
No issue of from the mayor's office to remove it. No issue whatsoever.
Thank you, Mayor.
But not, that's, just to be clear, not the clerk.
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
No.
That's right. So it's nice.
We have a BA in the horizon, so it's moving. It's moving.
I'll reverse my motion, as long as Councilman Davis doesn't kill me.
No, you're allowed to, without any objection, you're allowed to withdraw a motion from the floor.
See that? I can withdraw my motion.
Yes.
Thank you, Councilman Davis. Here's a book. Does anybody else have any discussion?
Mark? So move to amend as noted on those two positions?
Adopt as amended with removal of Human Resource Manager from the salary guide and the change title from Superintendent of Recreation to Director.
Correct.
Of Recreation.
Right, Recreation Director. Terms. Second? Second.
As a point of information, Counselor,
Yes, sir.
would the enacting action beyond the salary guide be a resolution from council, or would it be the mayor's fiat decision to set a salary within that bound as long as it is?
It would depend if it was employees of the administration or department heads. So department heads.
So the mayor will have the fiat right to set any salary within those bounds without any further action from council.
Correct.
In accordance with the ordinance. Okay.
Thank you, Josh.
Right. Okay.
Within the bounds of appropriation.
Yeah, from the, yeah, thank you.
Roll call.
Councilman Lutz?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Council Vice President DeGirolamo?
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh?
Yes.
Council President Holder?
Yes. Ordinance number 2018-12, an ordinance in the town of Phillipsburg, County of Warren, State of New Jersey, amending ordinance 2017-16 regarding a salary guide for unclassified employees has passed its first reading. Oh, the next is ordinance number 2018-13, an ordinance of the town of Phillipsburg, County of Warren, State of New Jersey, deleting and replacing Chapter 5, Administration of Government, Article 12, Department of Recreation, Section 91, Recreation Advisory Committee of the town of Phillipsburg, and deleting Section 92, Youth Center.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
I have lots if anyone wants to go first.
Me too, but let Josh go.
Sure.
Okay. When we originally discussed this ordinance, I think that there's a lot of good ideas that I'll ask council to adopt this evening. The first change I have is regarding the assignment of members to this committee. Under 592A, it says that they'll be appointed by council. We discussed it generally. It seemed that there was general support for a multi-class system where there are both appointees from the council as well as appointees from the parties that make up our youth recreation organizations in the town. To that end, I'd like to amend 592A to include any organization rostering a youth sports team with more than 50 youth athletes will have membership to the committee. The organization will appoint a member annually. Council will not reject any representative who meets the background check requirements of 148 and 149 and is duly appointed by the organization. Further to that, in 592, create a super header to that, that the Rec Advisory Committee will contain 2 classes of members, a council appointees, which will be Class A, and recreation organization representatives, which will be Class B, with the appointee of the multiple years remaining as is, and the Class B organization falling under what I just said for the youth sports team organizations. Additionally, under 594, I have some confusion with the term ex officio member. Ex officio by definition means of the responsibility of that office. So I think that it's a little bit redundant for us to say that we're going to appoint someone who's an ex officio member, because I think we would all be ex officio since we're all members of council. I think we can simplify that saying that we shall appoint one member of the town council to serve on the committee annually. Under purposes and duty, 595.5 and under 594A, 594 under the annual report, says that the Rec Advisory Committee will have responsibility to create a budget. I believe under the Faulkner Act that responsibility lies solely with the department head, and is a report that the mayor is supposed to receive from that department head in November. So as not to create a conflict for who's supposed to create the budget, I recommend that we delete that section from the ordinance. And under 595 meetings, only because they are not required, they don't have any statutory authority to actually enact any legislation or administrative functions on their own. I don't think it's required for them to post their meetings in the newspaper. I think that's just an extraneous cost. It could be a couple $1,000s a year that could save for the town. That's everything.
Council President, yeah, and thank you, Councilman Davis. You're right, as to 595, there is no requirement. I think the intention was to be as open and as transparent as possible, but that's certainly, the council's prerogative is to not require advertising under OPMA. That is certainly within your discretion. As to 595A5, and I just realized I have carryovers here on my numbers, so it should be 596 meetings, or 598 meetings rather. But 595A5 is the Recreation Advisory Committee shall make recommendations to the Department of Recreation with regard to the budget. So they are reporting to the department head, which is the Department of Recreation as it relates to the budget. They're not reporting that or making recommendations to the council. It is to the mayor, and that was how I believe it's currently drafted and enforced in our code. But of course, if the council wants to delete that, you guys can delete that.
My concern is that, if I recall correctly, under the local budget law, budgetary requests, including capital requests, are supposed to be held in an open session with the mayor in November of each year. And this specifically requires that the presentation be made to council and have a separate budget created in December. So it doesn't seem like those are necessary. I'm open to amendments to this, but it just seems like those two don't jive.
You're at 5-97, the annual report.
Both of those. So just the two of those together, it seems like don't necessarily jive with our form of government.
Councilman, could we have the advisory committee present their budget requests to the mayor's office, and then have the mayor's office?
Yeah, I think that'd be.
Would be acceptable?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that we clarify that, so there's no future disagreement about who has that right.
Okay, no, I think it's okay.
Put it with the mayors.
Yes.
Right.
Do you want to delete annual report then?
Right. I think that, well, if they're going to advise the mayor as to what they need, and the mayor's office is going to provide the budget, then yeah, we can delete it.
Well, so I would still love to have an annual report. My suggestion would be just in conjunction with budgetary responsibilities.
Okay.
So, delete that.
Yeah, just delete that section.
Okay.
Sure. And Rich, if you want, I tried to write everything down. What's that?
I hope you did.
All right. My handwriting is terrible though, so.
All right, we'll talk.
Yeah.
Is that all?
That's all. Thank you.
Nope, you're very welcome. Councilwoman?
Councilman Davis nailed most of it. The only thing left, I'm opposed to removing the youth center line at this time. I've asked twice, so now I'm asking a third time. We have not gotten in writing yet that they have terminated council, and the mayor goes in that as well from their board. So,
Notified in writing or notified verbally, Councilwoman?
well, I know they notified Council President we were no longer welcome, but I'd like it in writing before I go ahead and remove anything. I don't want to be accused of being the one terminating an agreement when it wasn't us, so I'd prefer to have it in writing if we don't mind.
Right, I just said change the verbiage. He didn't say we were no longer welcome.
I was no longer welcome? Was that better?
No, what he had said was that we no longer were representatives on their board. They had removed us from the board.
They have removed us.
They did.
Okay, well, if he could put that in writing, I'd feel a little more comfortable. If he can't, I'll start showing up.
That may not be good, Councilwoman. So, Council, if you wouldn't mind sending
Well, that's the choice.
Attorney Russo a letter just asking for clarification as to what their intentions are. Again,
Otherwise, I'm good with everything.
just for the record, when I did speak with Attorney Russo, and we did speak about the possibility of them coming back to a shared services agreement with the town, I told him he'd have to discuss it with the mayor, and they would then have to discuss it with Attorney Weiner before it comes to us. So,
Before we take action, I'd feel better if...
sure.
I don't know if we'd prefer to get a rereading with all the amendments.
Probably.
And to wait, so perhaps we should table.
That's you. I should let
Well,
Councilman Davis had all
has
the
some-
changes.
I just want to make sure we get them right so we don't do this again.
There's the one outlier right now, assuming the council is agreeable to Councilman Davis' suggestion as it relates to amendments, is the OPMA requirement. Because there is a cost associated with that, obviously, in
Right.
terms of advertising.
So, I mean, if they have a meeting, they're not violating.
Currently, they are not.
Right. So I'm fine with it if the rest of council is. Councilman Lutz?
Yes.
Council Vice President Israel?
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh? Okay.
So I'll make a motion, oh, sorry. I'll just make a motion to postpone consideration until the first meeting in July with the requested amendments as detailed to the councilor.
Yep.
For me?
Motion.
Second.
I think we've had our discussion. Roll call vote, Vicky.
Councilman Lutz?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Council Vice President DeGirolamo?
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh?
Yes.
Council President Polk?
Yes. Okay, we do have new business. I would ask council, I've spoken with the representatives this evening from the PBA local number 56 who have asked me to table the contract discussion until the first meeting in July. Is anybody opposed to that? Okay.
Do we have the full contract?
We do. It's in.
Okay, I only saw changes that were being made, but
Right.
because we're new, we don't have the complete
Right.
to know what those changes exactly mean.
I think the next meeting it will be held. We'll be discussing it in executive session
Okay.
as opposed to voting on it. I just want to make sure that I know that the mayor's office, I believe, has signed it today. The PBA needs to sign it, and that he went up there later on this evening to look at it. So, under their request, I'd like to just wait, if that's all right with council.
Yep.
Can I get a motion? Can I get a motion to table,
You need a motion to table?
please?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion. Okay, roll call vote, Vicky.
Councilman Lutz?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Council Vice President DeGirolamo?
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh?
Yes.
Council President Polk?
Yes. The next item under new business is I was contacted by the resident of 31 Davis Street who requested a moratorium. They are converting their home from oil to natural gas. They would need a moratorium from council in order to perform this work. I would bring that before this body.
So is the motion to lift the moratorium?
The motion is to perform the work. Correct.
Yeah. I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
I've spoken to him. Yeah. You second?
Yes.
Discussion? Roll call vote?
Councilman Lutz?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Council Vice President DeGirolamo?
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh?
Yes.
Council President Polk?
Yes. Okay. The next are items for the consent agenda, which is Resolutions 2018-109, a resolution approving 2018-2019 liquor license within the town of Phillipsburg, Resolution 2018-110, a resolution providing for renewal of entertainment licenses, Resolution 2018-111, a resolution awarding purchases under the New Jersey state contract, Resolution 2018-112, a resolution of the town of Phillipsburg, County of Warren, State of New Jersey regarding vacation and sick pay for Valerie Patty. Is there anyone on the governing body, and we'll start with Councilman Lutz, do you wish to have anything removed from the consent agenda for discussion?
Yes, 2018, 109 and 110. Because I think we have some deletions on the liquor license.
Okay. Council Vice President?
No.
Councilman Davis?
Nope.
Councilman McVeigh?
No.
I'm also good. So we can move forward to Resolution 2018-109, a resolution approving 2018-2019 liquor licenses within the town of Phillipsburg.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
I believe if the attorney wants to talk.
Thank you, Councilman. Yes, so on Resolution 109, you'll see one of the businesses that's up for renewal is the Mars Bar. And in discussions with the police department, which happened very recently, it is the recommendation of the chief of police, and I concur and support that recommendation, that that particular business be pulled from the en banc renewal that's before you and held at this time. And that would also apply to Resolution 2018-110 as it relates to the entertainment license. So for purposes of the record being clear, we are talking as it relates to Resolution 2018-109, plenary retail consumption license 211933-004-005. And as it relates to Resolution 2018-110, entertainment license 211933-004-005.
I'll make a motion to amend to remove those.
Second.
Council, I have to recuse myself.
Fair enough.
You can roll call vote, Vicky.
Councilman Lutz?
Yes, and this is only on 9, right?
This is on 109.
109, okay, yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Council Vice President Fitzgerald?
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh?
Yes.
And Council President Colbert?
I abstain, because I have to recuse.
All right, and 110 would be the same comment as to 109.
I'll make the motion to amend.
I also, if you don't mind, I also have 2 places, I mean, the Sandbar and Mariana's that are not on the list for entertainment, and I know they have bands at those places, so I'd like to hold that up, please.
Hold them right on there. We would have to do a whole other resolution to add them. They didn't fulfill their applications yet.
Okay, but don't we,
So if they're not on the list and they actually are holding entertainment events, then they would be subject to a summons for violation. So that's where the enforcement comes in.
okay, thank you.
Just as a point of information, are these dates supposed to be July 1st, 2018 to 2019, or is
Yeah, I
this for the
think they're
previous
supposed
year?
to be 2018.
Okay. So I'll make a motion to amend to include that date as well.
Thank you.
Council President, question for Attorney Wenner.
Yes.
Would that be enforceable by the Alcoholic Beverage Control or the Phillipsburg Police Department?
The Phillipsburg Police Department could issue, the town of Phillipsburg is a local issuing agency, a local authority on this license, so to the extent that the business is operating in violation of that, it would be enforceable on a local level.
Thank you.
Am I allowed to ask a question?
Open time.
In open time, but is it on the agenda item?
Yeah, it is. I don't see my liquor license on there, and I handed all my paperwork.
That may be a problem.
Yeah.
No, I'm teasing. So, and if you wouldn't mind stepping up. I'm sorry? Please, thank you.
Vote on this one?
That's why I'm here today.
I want to make sure, just in case.
Let's
maybe
vote on the amendment real quick, and then...
Okay, can you give us 1 second just to vote on the amendment? Thank you so much. Councilman Davis, you want to vote on the amendment for 2000?
Filters from the Pine is the name of that.
It's on there.
It's not on the agenda, I didn't see it on there.
It's on there.
Okay, well, it didn't make the,
It's on the version I have.
okay.
I do see it here, yes. The 003?
It says Delahanty's, yeah.
Wait a minute, wait a second.
It's right here.
It's not on here.
I have it on mine.
Not on the...
Not on the, did you, ma'am, was that for the entertainment license? Oh. Okay,
No,
don't.
the application, the state has not received their payment. You want it on
Behave
payment,
yourself.
so I can't. I had
Take a picture of it before.
And I showed them, and I handed them my paperwork. I didn't see it come up on
We are.
the website. Yeah, I showed the proof of payment when I handed them that.
How?
What's the proof of payment? For the state.
Okay.
Okay, why don't we just table that now?
Okay, yeah, I feel more.
2:30.
We're still handies on the 10.
Okay, so,
I have the list here from the state, I sent it out right before I left.
oh no, I don't, something must have happened between the state and the town before it got back to us. I can approve.
No, wait, it's on the entertainment. It's on the version I have right here. This one says Soma Downtown Grove.
Is it on the?
It's on the entertainment, yes.
On the,
It
not
says
the liquor license, but it's
Splinters
on
from the
license.
Pine. It's not on the
It should be
liquor.
on the license.
I see it on the liquor license.
It is on the liquor license, yes.
I just don't see it on the entertainment.
I do.
And I do. There it is. You are on both.
Thank you.
See that? Just try to wear my glasses, but I do. So, all right, now that that's out of the way, we can,
Vote on the amendment.
Resolution 2018-109, vote is amended.
That's 10.
10.
Oh, 10. 2018-110, vote is amended.
So move.
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Councilman Woods?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Council Vice President Peter Giralamo?
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh?
Yes.
Council President Polk?
Yes. Okay. No, I didn't. Okay. No, I got it. So, Resolution 2018-109 and Resolution 2018-110 have successfully passed. Resolution 2018-11, this is the consent agenda, which is a resolution awarding purchases under the New Jersey State contract, and Resolution 2018-112, resolution of the Town of Phillipsburg, County of Warren, State of New Jersey regarding vacation and sick pay.
I move to adopt the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Nope.
Okay.
It's consent. All right. Old business, which is Resolution 2018-100, which is the governing body certification of the annual audit. Do we have a motion to untable?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
I still haven't received clarification on a few items that I had asked for. I have read it, but as part of signing off on this, my understanding is we need to understand the compliance on this. But that may be more applicable to the action plan. So the only question I had was, will we be getting, since I just saw the bill, the audits for the two audits for the library that were done and the audit for Section 8, because I did not see those in here. Or is this only for the municipal? Because I see the library in there.
Council President, I can answer one.
Sure.
The Section 8 has its own CPA. That I do know, and that should be requested from the Section 8 office. The other one, I can't answer. I don't know how that happened.
That's right. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
Councilman Davis, did you have something?
Just give me vote on table.
Okay, the motion is to untable. And we had a second, so we can roll call.
Councilman Lutz?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Council Vice President DeGirolamo?
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh?
Yes.
Council President?
Yes. Resolution 2018-100, governing body certification of the annual audit, has been successfully untabled. We can motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Councilman Lutz?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Council Vice President DeGirolamo?
No.
Councilman McVeigh?
Yes.
Council President Colbert?
This is just certifying that you have received the audit. And
Yeah, I said no because I was unsatisfied with the corrective action plan, and I asked for clarification a week ago, and I haven't gotten it. So that's why I said no.
Clarifying for the public.
Yeah, it's not
Yes.
explanatory enough, so.
Resolution 2018-100 has successfully passed 4-1. Resolution 2018-101, a resolution approving the corrective action plan. Do I get a motion to untable?
So moved.
Second.
Discussion?
Discussion?
Well, on just on the
Yeah,
untabling,
just-
so.
yeah. Just point out, we can't debate a motion on table.
You did tell me that last meeting. You did. Why didn't you yell at me this time around?
I try not to do it on...
I apologize. So can I get a roll call vote, Vicki?
Councilman Lutz?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Council Vice President DeGirolamo?
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh?
Yes.
Council President Colbert?
Yes. Resolution 2018-101 has been successfully untabled without discussion. Resolution 2018-101, resolution approving the corrective action plan. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Discussion.
Yes, I'm going to vote no on this because the corrective action plan, to me, does not affect the problem of the revolving loan.
I agree. That's why I asked for clarification. I was ahead one.
Oh, sorry if I took your short.
Perfectly fine, we agree.
So, if I may defer to council, if we don't adopt the resolution approving the corrective action plan, does it go back to Clooney for review? Will they clarify the council's request?
Or you can ask for a more detailed corrective action plan to be presented to the council. That's certainly appropriate.
Okay.
So, if I could...
Councilman, yes.
I just got, as a point of information, is there a different action plan council would prefer to see in terms of rectifying this this issue?
Well, I asked for information myself, and I have not gotten anything in reference to this. And I guess it's all in the CEO's or the Bob's hands to give us an update.
Well, according to my recollection from the auditor, the recommendation was that we attempt to collect, and if we can't, we write the debt off. So I'm not sure what other action we can take other than issuing collections notices for these debts.
Well, number one, I don't want to forgive, I do not want to give approximately $200,000 worth of our taxpayers' money away. So I need a little bit more understanding. The Attorney Troxel started this, and he wrote a couple letters to some people, but the money is too great that's out there to forgive, and I don't want to forgive. It's too much money.
Well, I don't think that the auditor's suggestion was that we forgive the debts. I think his suggestion was that we utilize Rich's office to continue the work started by Deputy Attorney Troxel and to create and to file actions against folks who don't respond to those letters and discover whether they are collectible. I believe it's the auditors, or at least it was implied by the auditor, that some of these are going to be uncollectible. It's just a final reconciliation about whether these businesses have the wherewithal to actually pay the town back. I just don't see another practical action that we can take other than attempting to collect through legal means.
Council President, may I?
Yes, sir. Mayor.
Everyone's correct to a point. The revolving account was used for many, many years. Rich, probably before you became the town attorney. And there is a significant amount of money that is owed to the account. Hundreds of thousands of dollars is owed to that account. There's about $375,000 in the account right now. And Attorney Troxel did do a review of it, but he could not find the files. The files are not in the file cabinet. And for that reason, he could not track down all of the people that owed it. I know that Rich had done his due diligence in the past, is that correct, Attorney Wenner?
I hope so.
Yes, he did his due diligence, and I think you were faced with the same problem.
Right, we wrote off, the town wrote off in 2012 or 13 a fairly large number of bad debt, an amount of bad debt that was uncollectible. And there are outstanding many loans which will also equally be uncollectible. And the balance that you have to do when it relates to some of these loans that are now uncollectible is they're uncollectible because the borrower has no assets, right? So we can go ahead and we can sue, we can get a judgment that looks pretty and that, gives the town the right to collect the money that's due and owing to it, but then you have to actually collect that money. And if there's no money to be collected, there's no judgment that's going to be repaid. So that was why the then auditor recommended at that time getting off the town's books the bad debt that was really hindering and hurting the town when it came to its audit. So we can certainly commence a review of the current status of affairs as it relates to loans which are due and owing and are not in repayment, and give an opinion to the mayor and to the council as to the reasonable foreseeability of collecting on those bad debts. I tend to think that there's a low chance of success for probably most of them, because generally the borrowers who have assets don't go in default on their loans. They repay their loans. So,
yeah.
There are loans that are still being repaid.
Correct.
However, as you said, they have either stopped because of bankruptcy or they have moved away. We can't even find them. So it becomes a matter of cost-benefit analysis. If we're going to spend $200,000 to collect $150,000, it's obviously nonsensical. I would suggest that council review it one more time. Attorney Troxel did quite a bit of work and identified those individuals that still owe the revolving account money. That would be my recommendation, Council President.
Thank you, Mayor. Council Vice President.
So I have a document here from May 31st, 2017 that shows all the outstanding debt and who owes it. There's the list. If we could follow up on that and redefine that corrective action plan and update who's out of business, I think we could settle this up a little better.
Well,
I got it from Councilman Lutz.
how does that differ from what the corrective action plan is, though? Isn't it your corrective action plan to collect from these people?
Yes, it is.
It is, but there's no process in place how we're doing it other than a lawyer sending them a letter. And both Mark and I were appointed to the revolving loan to help manage this, so I think we need to understand how that's going to happen on a quarterly basis, if nothing else. That's a lot of money.
It's a fair point to have a process outlining the collection.
This way we all know what we're supposed to do.
Councilman, where'd you get that list?
Chris Troxel got it from Bob Merlo. And it's at PNC Bank.
Oh, okay.
It's at PNC Bank, that's where all the money goes to.
Thank you.
So he got an update when we first started that.
The question is, do we have the underlying document with the guarantee in the terms of the repayment to collect.
No.
That's the...
Council President?
Yes, ma'am.
No, that's the problem, Councilman Davis, is that we do not have the underlying documents to validate or to find the owners of the loans.
Council President, I have a question for Council.
Yes, Councilman McVeigh.
Whether we have that list and/or the underlying documents to support that list, regardless, could we, if approved this evening, can we still go after the folks that owe us money, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm asking the Council.
Yes.
Value your opinion.
Yes. Yes, we can.
No only question, thank you.
We can. Is there any further discussion? Roll call.
Councilman Lutz?
No.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Council Vice President Duke-Solomon?
No.
Councilman McVeigh?
Yes.
Council President Fulford?
Yes. Resolution 2018-101 successfully passes. Resolution approving the corrective action plan. Resolution 2018-103, a resolution of the Town of Phillipsburg transferring the Section 8 using the Phillipsburg Housing Authority. A motion to on table.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Councilman Lutz?
Yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Council Vice President Duke-Solomon?
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh?
Yes.
Council President Fulford?
Yes. Resolution 2018-103, resolution of the Town of Phillipsburg transferring Section 8 using the Phillipsburg Housing Authority has been successfully untabled. We are open for discussion. Councilman Davis has done a lot of work. I will, if you don't mind, I'll let him.
So I'll make a motion to amend Resolution 2018-103, replacing its entirety and with the text, the Council of the Town of Phillipsburg authorizes the mayor to negotiate with the Phillipsburg Housing Authority to create an interlocal agreement providing Section 8 management services to the Phillipsburg Housing Authority by the Town of Phillipsburg.
Motion, is there a second?
Councilman, have you discussed this?
If there's a second, I'd...
Okay, I apologize.
Yeah.
Is there a second?
I'll second that for questioning.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So in terms of debate, the only discussion I had with Mr. Rummerfield was my closing question to his testimony to council when he came last week. If you recall, while this was his desire to have it executed as written currently in 2018-103, he noted that if it wasn't a successful resolution, he also had the option of creating an interlocal agreement with either the county or with the state. And I asked Mr. Rummerfield if it was possible to do an interlocal agreement with the town as well, to which he replied yes. I still have my concerns regarding the PBV and the possible long-term implications, and as well as the additional red tape that Mr. Rummerfield noted when he came in to give his testimony. If you recall, he said that this resolution doesn't even necessitate that the Section 8 will go to the Housing Authority. It's requesting the state and then Washington, D.C. to approve the transfer. I think the interlocal agreement reduces that red tape and allows us to keep the decision-making internally, as well as resolving the concerns that we heard from both sides of the conversation in terms of the shifting the responsibilities, as well as removing uncertainty for those who are concerned about the uncertainty. So that's also why I made the resolution general, because I think it gives both the mayor and the housing authority the flexibility to create the interlocal agreement to the terms that are required to execute the PBV and allow the housing authority to have the capital flexibility they need to move the housing authority into the future.
Who has the power I'm just trying to think a second. Who has the power to give the okay to give it to the housing authority? Will it be the council? Who will it be?
No, it'll be the feds.
When the time comes.
I believe Mr. Rummerfield said that would come from the feds.
Yeah, so under the proposal that we have before us, we remove that uncertainty and the possible drag out of time. Last time I checked on the waiting list, Phillipsburg was approaching the top in terms of the RAD consideration. I think this is probably, again, the best proposal that we have to satisfy parties on both sides of the request, as well as removing the uncertainty and red tape that we could possibly deal with the federal government. And again, this is a proposal that's open-ended. They'll be able to execute an agreement that will be reviewed by both attorneys to make sure that it's fair for both sides in terms of who has what say, and it'll come back before us for final execution. So this isn't, again, similar to the current text in front of you. It's not a final decision. It'll just allow the mayor to discuss with Mr. Rummerfield how we can effect that change. And again, Mr. Rummerfield did indicate that he could execute an interlocal agreement to achieve the same end. So I think that in terms of, if the goal is to allow the PHA to enter into the RAD program with the TPV, this achieves that end.
Council President, if I may.
Mayor, yes, I was actually going to I had a question for you, but I'll let you go ahead first.
I sat with Mr. Rummerfield today and started this discussion. There are some problems. One of the problems that exist is our current coordinator of Section 8 is a municipal employee. She gets paid out of municipal monies. And we have to figure out how to, how can I say that, reallocate federal monies to cover her salary, number one. Number two, there is a $150,000 pilot that the Housing Authority pays the town of Phillipsburg on an annual basis. We're going to have to compensate that in our budget. And I do believe it's doable, but it's going to take some negotiation. And I will keep the council, up to date on any types of agreements between Mr. Rummerfield and myself.
So if we vote yes, you're saying we lose $150,000 in the pilot?
Mr. Rummerfield was not sure about that because once the Section 8 goes over to the Housing Authority, it changes from Section 9 to Section 8. And I'm not sure if Section 8 can receive the $150,000 pilot. But as I said, I will keep the council apprised of every issue that comes up. We cannot afford to lose that $150,000 pilot.
Oh, I agree. Council Vice President, you had a comment with regard to the $150,000?
We checked that before the last meeting, and I didn't think that was the case. It was determined it should actually go up based on the property valuation increasing.
It would go up and down. It would fluctuate.
It would fluctuate based on the property value, and better homes will increase it.
Right, Councilwoman, but he was not sure how it would be facilitated with Section 9 versus Section 8. But let me call him tomorrow and try to get back to council with a definitive answer.
He's right here if you want to ask him.
Paul, could you answer that question?
Mr. Rummerfield, can you approach the podium, please?
I think what the mayor's talking about is the $150,000. It's the pilot, the payment in lieu of taxes.
From the Housing Authority.
That's correct. And that's gone up steadily because of cost-saving measures at the Housing Authority. The $150,000 pilot's not automatic. When I first started, it was about $85,000. We've continued to go up over the last 2 years. It's roughly $150,000. That's under the Section 9 public housing. When the town entered into a annual contract contribution with the federal government. As part of that, the contract said that the housing authority, and it's a mathematical formula, that the housing authority will pay the town of Phillipsburg a pilot, payment in lieu of taxes annually. If the housing authority switches from a Section 9 program to a Section 8 program, the pilot provision is not in there because the annual contract contribution is null and void. The contract is over. But there has not been, and the only reason we would switch to a Section 8 is if we get the RAD. If the Section 8 comes over to the town of Phillipsburg, we will continue to administer those 210 Section 8 units and continue to administer 580 public housing units, and the pilot will continue. If we're approved by RAD, which is a long-term process, I mean, we're talking about probably a year of physical needs assessment to determine what capital needs we need for the next 20 years. We have to do an energy audit. So there's a lot of things to do before we're actually approved for RAD. So if RAD comes over, the pilot is no longer in with the Section 8. But the federal government has not approved a RAD contract in any community that does not include a reimbursement to the town. It may not be called a pilot, it's not a stipend, but there is not a RAD contract that's been approved by HUD that the housing authority or the RAD people do not contribute to the town of Phillipsburg. So while it's not a pilot, you could bet that the housing authority is not going to walk away from the commitment to Phillipsburg or any other town in terms of some type of contribution.
Thank you.
Mr. Romerfield, I just have a question because we had a landlord up here earlier with regard to his tenants. Would there be any change for those tenants under the program if we were to transfer the Section 8 program to the housing authority?
He should get his check on time. He should know that we're going to come in and do inspections. We're going to do quality control inspections. If he runs a good operation, because it is a business, there shouldn't be any change. One of the things that I'm concerned, I really want to get into a lot of the specifics, but it was brought up tonight, and this is part and parcel why I think that the Section 8 program should be sent to the housing authority, strictly for more oversight. One of the council people tonight asked about an audit for the library and an audit for Section 8. And if you're sitting up there and telling me you don't have the Section 8 audit, shame on someone, because that's a town department. Library is totally different. That's set up by state statute, and they have their own board. So you may not have that one. But if you haven't reviewed the Section 8 audits, shame on someone. So I think that's part and parcel why the Section 8 program should come over, so there is more oversight.
Mr. Romerfield, thank you. Does anybody else on the panel have questions for Mr. Romerfield?
Yeah, speaking to the question that we have before us, if I recall correctly, we did have at one point last year the proposal for a interlocal agreement, and we have the question before us now. Would the interlocal agreement be workable in terms of the RAD application, in terms of applying for it?
I think when you talked about an interlocal service agreement, the question that was asked last week is, can you do it? The short answer was yes.
Okay.
I think what I heard tonight, you stating that if we do enter into a interlocal service agreement, that the Section 8 can continue at City Hall, will continue over here, that absolutely will not work out.
Okay.
If an interlocal service agreement were doable, it would have to be under one roof. We can't operate the program at two different locations. I think what I think is proper is you ask the feds, first in Newark, to consider the transfer. If they say yes and Washington says yes, then I think we could sit down and talk some specifics in terms of keeping the town involvement, if that's what you want. But I think the thing to do is ask them, so there's no questions about it. Because as the councilman said, he's concerned that the 210 units will not be administered as well as they are right now. Well, let's put the shoe on the other foot. And if you do the interlocal service agreement, how are the 580 units going to be managed if the person conducting the 210 is doing that now and is in charge under an interlocal service agreement? So I think there's a lot of questions that have to be asked. I think the first thing to do is get it down, request HUD to consider the transfer, and then go from there.
So in what solution would you see an interlocal agreement be workable? What would the format be if it was?
I think we'd have to see if the program comes over to the Housing Authority first. This happened about 5 years ago. It passed Newark, and Washington was a little confused, thought we were creating another housing authority. So I think you let it go through the motions at the federal level and then go from there.
Just to reiterate the question, so when we said that it is a workable solution, in the short answer, what would
I didn't say it's workable. I said it's an option
Right.
to do an interlocal.
But what would the actual result look like that would be feasible?
Well, I think we'd have to take over the program, lock, stock, and barrel it under our.
And just for clarification, what would the benefit of doing it through an interlocal agreement then, as opposed to? So I just, because typically with an interlocal agreement, there's a sharing of resources, but it doesn't sound like that would be the case in this agreement.
That was your suggestion. I don't know. I don't know of a benefit.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else have questions for Mr. Romerfield?
I do, Council President.
Yes.
Mr. Romerfield, you might have answered this before with me, but because we have a large attendance tonight, the number 580, approximately 600. Is there a chance under the RAD program for that number to increase?
No. We're looking at decreasing it. If we're approved for RAD, we intend to request HUD for a demo disposition. We'd actually like to reduce some of the public housing in Phillipsburg.
And I know you couldn't get too much into detail about that because of the current residents, and understood. Thank you for your answer.
Councilman Lutz, did you have something?
No, nothing. No, but I'll say something.
Okay.
I'm going to say it again. I'm not for this. We as town fathers have, sorry, we as town fathers have the rule over Section 8 right now of 210 or families. I think it's up to 192 if I'm not mistaken last week. I feel that if we would go to this, like everybody says, it can't change, it can't change, it can't change. But you know, in today's world, anything can change. Anything can change. And that's all we need is more of that type of housing in the town of Phillipsburg. I'm not going to vote for it. That's how I feel. So just so you know.
Wow. Thank you, Councilman Lutz. Okay. Hey.
You know what?
Guys, listen. I want to keep a strict decorum, please.
Council President, did you hear what he said?
Unfortunately, I did not. What I would ask, though, is that we refrain from comments from, okay? With all due respect, ma'am, with all due respect.
Oh,
I
respect, he has no respect. Everybody knows it.
Ma'am.
See what this guy's doing to me up here?
All right, listen.
I'm sitting here doing not a damn thing.
Oh, all right, listen. This is the last time.
There's a whole council.
With all due respect, there are children here in the audience, so I'm going to ask everyone for the very last time, the next outburst from anyone in the audience, I will have you removed. There are children here, so please. Thank you.
Thank you, Council President.
You're welcome.
So, Councilor, I believe the question for the council is.
Thank you, I was lost.
Right.
Yeah, to 2018-103.
Right. Which has been moved and seconded.
And we had the discussion, so this would be the vote this would be the vote.
To amend. As amended.
Yes.
Which is shared service.
To approve as a shared service. Is there, this would be the vote. So you would say yes if you'd like the shared service, no if you don't. That's, thank you. Roll call.
Councilman Lutz?
No.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Council Vice President DeGirolamo? No. Councilman McVeigh?
No.
Council President Polk?
I would have voted yes for a shared services agreement. It will fail 3-2. So we now have a resolution on the floor transferring the town of Phillipsburg, transferring Section 8 using the Phillipsburg Housing Authority to Phillipsburg Housing Authority. So, motion?
Discussion?
Moved. Yeah, we need a motion.
Second.
It's been motioned and seconded?
I did not move.
I didn't move. I just asked for a motion.
No.
I'll move.
Now I have a motion.
Second.
Now I have a second. Discussion.
Council President, I asked for extra time last week on this because this was probably one of the bigger decisions I had since I'm sitting up here. And albeit I can say with all certainty, I'm not 100% in favor of the decision I'm going to make compared to 0. I am satisfied enough by listening to subject matter experts, by listening to my fellow councilmen and women, that internally I am built, the way my mind works is, I don't think for the moment, I think long range and long term and what it can do. I've seen Phillipsburg under the current system, and I also have seen what the RAD can do in certain towns and cities that it's been implemented in, albeit this is not a RAD discussion, where this actually is the step towards it, which, and I do believe with Councilman Lutz wholeheartedly that anything can change. I just happen to think, in my opinion, anything can change in the favor. Again, this is probably one of the hardest decisions I have, but I don't think personally. I think sitting up here, I think professionally. I have to use my head on this one, and what I currently have seen in this town for a long number of years. I am satisfied, and I like the answer of the 580 not increasing, decreasing, and the demo destruction of some current properties and putting up some other properties that would be a little less of an eyesore. So with that being said, I am going to vote when it is my turn to vote. I am going to vote yes to move this forward. Thank you, Council President.
You're welcome. I think you should apologize to Mr. Romerfield for calling this building an eyesore.
This building?
No, his building. I'm teasing. Okay, is there any further discussion? Councilman McVeigh had to say, Councilman Lutz, Vice President DiGirolamo, Councilman Davis.
No, I think there's too many questions still to answer about the future. I would have been in favor of a shared service agreement to facilitate the PBB application. But since I don't fully understand, I can't vote in favor. That's all.
Thank you, Councilman. So, roll call vote, Vicky.
Councilman Lutz? No. Councilman Davis?
No.
Council Vice President DiGirolamo?
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh?
Yes.
Council President Polk?
Yes. Resolution 2018-103, resolution of the Town of Phillipsburg transferring Section 8 using the Phillipsburg Housing Authority has been successfully passed. Resolution 2018-107, a resolution providing for appointments to the Ethics Committee. I do have that as amended. Before we move, I would like to, Councilman Davis, you had a recommendation.
I believe that it would be appropriate to untable, and then we could.
I'm sorry. We need to untable.
Yep.
Untable. Motion to untable 2018-107.
Second.
Discussion. Okay. Roll call vote. Because when
Oh, wait. Do we have to discuss?
No.
Oh, yes.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Council Vice President DiGirolamo?
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh?
Yes.
Council President Polk?
Yes. Councilman Davis, I apologize for opening up discussion. Okay, we now have Resolution 2018-107, resolution providing for appointments to the Ethics Committee successfully untabled. And I did speak with Councilman Davis, so I would like to open the floor first for him.
Sure. I'd like to make a motion to amend the resolution, replacing Randy Piazza Jr. With Pastor Slack, and adding Stan Garrison to the list of appointees.
We actually can. I took a look at it. He can recuse himself.
Everything?
If it were one of, yeah, he could recuse himself. If it doesn't affect Stan, he can't. Like, we don't affect him.
I thought it said no members of boards or towns.
Committees. So members of committees, members like the Board of Education. If it's okay, Councilman Davis, we have 2 vacant positions.
Yeah.
I would like to fill those positions with Mr. Garrison and Mr. Slack, and that would give us a full board without the 2 alternates.
Well, I think we need a second, because I motioned, I don't think it was a second. Yeah.
Sure.
So, and then if you can amend my amendment. Or it can fail, one or the other.
If it fails, I'm just going to do everything but get rid of Randy.
Therefore, yeah, so if there's no objection, I'll withdraw the motion.
Is that okay? I don't want to argue. Okay, so then, Councilman, would you like to redo the amendment to just add those 2?
Yes, with the one caveat that in terms of the times of the slots, I would like to swap Pastor Slack and Mr. Piazza Jr. So in terms of the timing. So that's my motion.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's your motion.
Yeah.
Do I have a second for Councilman Davis's motion? Okay, without a second, Councilman, I would like to replace them both at the same terms, both Pastor Slack and Stan Garrison, and then we would have a full committee without the 2 alternates. We do need, at one point in time, to propose 2 alternates.
And can we clarify, because I don't believe that's correct in the resolution, what the time frame for those 2 vacant positions is?
The 2 vacancies appears to be 1-year vacancies.
Okay.
That is my motion.
I will second.
Discussion.
So just to be clear, we're putting Bill Slack and Stan Garrison in the 2 vacant,
That is correct.
and they would expire at the end of this year.
Well, they would expire in 2019. I believe we made it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just typo. So it's a year term. Yes. So
So it would be December 31st, 2019, Council President?
yes, sir.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I did have a motion and a second with 0 discussion, so we can roll call.
Oh, sorry. The floor, I do have a slight discussion, but you've made a motion, so I want to make sure you had a chance first.
No, that's okay. Please.
I do think that Mr. Slack is deserving of longer term, is a long-term participant in the town, and someone who is clearly qualified to serve in this position. I am glad that we're adding him to the Ethics Committee. I also hope that the exercise in reviewing the resumes has shown what a difficulty it is to find candidates who are not conflicted in his appointment. I believe, how many, if you can recall for me, how many resumes did we have to completely discount because they had a conflict? It's quite a few.
We did have to discount quite a few, Councilman. Unfortunately, I don't know the exact number off the top of my head.
So as I said, I still believe that the jurisdiction for these concerns should be outside the local area, something that's been echoed in other matters. But I'm glad to adopt this list with those 2 esteemed gentlemen added to it.
Thank you, Councilman.
Doesn't leave a gap? You don't have a 20 expiration.
Bill? No, we're good. There's no gap. Okay, so we have a motion, seconded with discussion. Roll call.
Councilman Lutz?
No.
Councilman Davis?
Yes.
Council Vice President DeGirolamo?
Yes.
Councilman McVeigh?
Yes.
Council President Holbrook?
Yes. Resolution 2018-107, a resolution providing for appointments to the Ethics Committee have been successfully passed. At this time, I would like to turn it over to the mayor for his mayor and administrative reports. Mayor, do you have anything with you this evening?
I do. I have two reports. I attended a bridge construction site plan meeting at Ingersoll Rand, and would be happy to report that they are moving very fast. Their preliminary site plan will be in July 5th. They intend to be in the ground in January sometime or sooner. I also met with the New Jersey Economic Development Authority. Their mission is to ensure that the Opportunity Zone is a success, and they came offering low interest loans for large and small businesses. That's all.
Mayor, that's good news. Okay, so just to clarify, Mayor, for my own notes, you said bridge construction, would they be breaking ground July 5th, or is that in January?
They haven't come before.
No, they will be breaking ground July 5th, once they get through the preliminary and final plan approvals.
And this is going to create a lot of jobs for our residents.
Well, it's 1,001,000 square feet of the 3 buildings that are being built in Phillipsburg. Each 1,000 square feet equals 1 employee. So
Thank
you
you.
got about 1,000 employees.
I'm sure there's 1,000 people here in Phillipsburg that need jobs.
I'm sure.
That does help. Moving forward, we have public petitions. This is the time where the public is allowed to speak. What I would request is if you come up to the podium, speak clearly, loudly, and state your name and address. And we do have is it 5-minute time limit? 30-minute max? You want to go 30 minutes? Less than 5 minutes?
Hello again.
Hello,
Sandra Morissette, 5 Fairview Heights. We know Phillipsburg has tried for years to redevelop the area along the Delaware River, but we are closer now than we've ever been. Mayor Ellis has been working with the state and investors, and Main Street is the focal point where people could spend their days discovering more about the town we love. But our town council has other plans. In the June 12th town council work session, the legal notice of which stated that action will be taken, Town Council passed the first reading of Ordinance 2018-10 to amend the Riverfront Redevelopment Plan and permit storage of waste disposal containers and trucks in the zone. LMR Disposal is the beneficiary of this ordinance. Alpha, interestingly, refused LMR Disposal's expansion request, so LMR Disposal began operations here in violation of local zoning laws. Despite a zoning violation notice, cease and desist letters, and threat of court summons, Town Council asked that any violations be withheld from enforcement actions until LMR could proceed with the redevelopment study before the Planning Board. Neither LMR nor their lawyer came to the hearing they scheduled with the Planning Board, which unanimously rejected LMR's requested zoning variance and recommended Town Council do the same. You did not. Town Code Section 625-74A states sound level should not exceed 65 decibels from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. and 50 decibels from 10 p.m. to 7 a.m. near residential areas. And sound level should not exceed 65 decibels near commercial areas. Yet the Federal Transit Administration has measured trucks at 88 decibels 50 feet from the source. Section 625-73 states a trucking business that hauls for hire is not permitted in Phillipsburg. Section 624(7)A relates to excessive noise, a problem with Alpha, and they complained about this. Section 625-748 says there should be no emissions or odors detectable without instruments. Again, Alpha complained about the smell. LMR disposal will also violate a regulation limiting trucks to no more than 4 round trips a day per business. Yet their attorney, Mr. Peck of Florio, Perucci, Steinhardt and Capelli, has stated 30 to 40 trucks will be entering and exiting the site per day. In Alpha, their operations began at 3 a.m. Town Council, thank you, did stipulate that the trucks and containers should be empty. However, empty garbage containers and trucks still smell, still make lots of noise when they start up, and they still leak. The ordinance needs to be read and passed a second time for it to become law. Perhaps now that more people are aware of this situation, then Town Council will be reluctant to have this business in the town some of us chose to live in and others decided to stay in. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other comments?
Dan Boyce, 244 Irwin. A couple council meetings ago, I got up and I asked the partisan games to stop, that it was really out of hand. And it seemed to go over very well with council and the residents that were here. The very next day, the worst effect happened to someone, and it's still going on. I'm losing my train of thought here, I'm sorry. But there's still constant games going on. A woman was supposed to be here tonight. She'll be here next meeting. She did a lot of footwork to bring a chain grocery store into this town. She works with one of her close friends, was one of the original developers over in Easton when Easton started the redevelopment, and he's got connections with Bridge over here in Ingersoll Rand Properties. She did a lot of work to bring a chain grocery store into town. They refused because of the malarkey going on here. We had a chance to have the store that everybody wanted. As you know, I was trying to persuade an industry to come into town here. They couldn't get answers that they needed because of all the games that were going on. And a woman here in town has been really affected because she did the right thing civically by standing up. And she's been really raked through the mud. I'm saying this as a resident. I was friends with her. We don't speak too much anymore, but still, the things that have been going on here with Jen McBride, and it's all political, I'm sorry. And some people just feed and feed and feed and feed just to fire up the people that are here. A lot of people are here today because of an email. I was sent an email, about 12 people sent me an email that was sent out for people to come here today to fight because there was going to be a vote of no confidence on the mayor. There was going to be a vote that council didn't want the redevelopment going on here, this and that and everything else. That's only done to fire people up. There was no other reason. That's political games. There was no reason for it. Okay? David Morissette, you are a fountain of misinformation.
Mr. Bush, you cannot address Mr.
Okay,
Morissette.
I'm sorry. There's a resident here who posts quite often on social media half-truths.
Council President, it's not appropriate.
I have to cut you off, Mr. Boyce. Councilman Davis says it's not appropriate.
It's not.
Council says it's not appropriate.
You mean completely? I'm done? Okay.
Well, that's up to the council president, but in terms of the comments or comments to the council about town business, through the council president, we don't address individual members of the council directly, nor do we address members of the group, citizens sitting out there?
Okay, the point I'm trying to bring up is it's the feeding of the half-truths or complete lies that are just done to fire up the citizens, the residents here, for no reasons whatsoever.
So you're asking council not to engage? Is that what you're asking?
I'm asking people to stop. That's all I'm asking.
That's point taken. Thank you, Mr. Boyce.
Well,
thank you.
Lee Clark, 341 Heckman Street. Tonight was a good night, a lot of good discussion, and I just want to thank everyone for coming out because it shows that people truly do care about what's going on in the town. People don't just respond to notifications, they come out if they truly care about something that's going on, and I think that's a good representation tonight as we heard from the chairs. And I just want to thank council for keeping things in line tonight, for keeping the order and keeping everything civil, so thank you for that. I just had a sorry, now I'm losing my train of thought. I just had a quick question regarding the Open Space Commission. To my knowledge, the ordinance has been passed on to the council. It's been there for a number of months. I just wanted to see where it was at this point and what are the plans to push it forward, because as you know, it's a great opportunity for this town, and I think we need to move forward on it.
Agreed. I did have, you remember it was 2 meetings ago, we had it, and the mayor and I believe I asked if the terms were up for negotiation, and then we had presented it to council. Obviously, we have lost our way for, I can admit fault. We do need to bring that back to the table and get that passed. And actually, I don't believe that you were here, Attorney Wenner, but Joe Salvador was. So I need to make sure that you have that open space project for the open space resolution.
There were some appointment.
Yeah, there were some appointment questions, but the mayor did state that they were negotiable and that we would get back. So nobody reached out to you, right?
No.
Okay. No. But I think we did come down to, I don't think they need to be negotiated any further because we did determine, I'm sorry, Mr. Clark, that I'm addressing the mayor. We did determine that neither the mayor nor the council could vote, therefore.
Correct. It's
okay.
Apolitical.
Correct. Okay.
Council President, there is one thing I am concerned about.
Yes, Mayor.
And that is when we do start collecting the open space tax, the longer we wait, the more it'll be to the taxpayers. In other words, it was 2% on 100 back in January.
Right.
Now that it's gone 6 months, it's going to be more than 2% to collect the annual revenue.
Would it be too far out to place it on the next council agenda?
No,
that would be fine?
Get it, yeah.
Okay, so that's what we'll do. We will have that on the next council agenda.
That sounds amazing. Thank y'all very much.
I don't know what I said, but you're very welcome. All right, thank you.
Mr. Phil Timmon, 230 South Main Street. I was unaware that the housing has a pilot program, which means there's 580 residents with their children who are not committing to the school tax, which means if they take this other program over and it falls into that pilot guideline that they're already under, there'll be another 210 possible residents that will not be paying toward the school taxes, which was passed for Mr. Perucci's project back on Howard Street, also from Ingersoll. Ingersoll will not generate kids. They may conceive them there, but they may not generate them from there. So we're going to.
There are kids though.
The taxpayers will be and have been unknowingly with the pilot programs being subsidized through their taxes to pay for all of the children that have been sent up from housing and or Section 8 if they take it over to the tune of roughly 700, almost 800 students or families, regardless of how many children. With the Perucci project, that was going to cost, when if it started and developed, would be $300 to $600 a residence how much is it costing us now, which no numbers were bandied about, with the housing, since they have some sort of a pilot program that has not been fully developed or augmented or talked about, with all of the children coming from this development.
Council President, may I?
Go ahead. Give me 1 second, Mayor. Council Vice President was first. I apologize.
Okay, go
and then I'll defer to you.
Just one comment for you, Bill. The Section 8, the people who own the properties pay the taxes. The taxes are paid.
The landlord.
But if it's
The property owner, who in theory is a landlord, they pay the property taxes, so those school
I'm not
taxes are
complaining
paid.
property tax, it's all school tax.
The people living there aren't, sure they are. They pay just
Not
like
if
we
it's
do.
a pilot program.
No, that's not change, that's not changing. The existing pilot that's in Section 9 is in lieu of taxes, so they pay
Right.
approximately $150,000 in lieu of taxes.
Yeah, but they don't
Section
pay
8
toward.
property owners will, if it all goes Section 8, they will still contribute their tax dollars just like they do now.
But then
And that's school included.
the 580 that the housing project has now under their residents.
Mr. Rummerfield stated that would still apply. There hasn't been a program in place where it hasn't contributed to the community.
Yeah, but that's part of the pilot where they don't have to pay school tax.
The money comes in, I don't
Right,
know.
no, so
You can answer the pilot that.
it has to do with ownership of the property itself, right? So the Section 9 program is owned, the property is owned by the Phillipsburg Housing Authority. They're exempt from payment of property taxes. So instead of paying property taxes, they pay in lieu of tax. It's as if you had, It's the same as if you have federal land in your municipality that's tax exempt. The federal government will pay you a pilot even though they don't have a requirement to pay you property taxes. The Section 8 program is a voucher program. So that follows the tenants wherever they might go. So if you're a landlord and you're renting to a tenant who has a Section 8 voucher, you still own the property, you own the building, you're still paying your real property taxes.
He's not on that section or that pilot program if it's an individual property owner.
Right.
But talking about housing, Mr. Rummerfield brought it up this evening. He has a pilot program.
Under Section 9.
Yes.
And they are not exempt from school taxes under Section 9?
There's Section 9 and there's Section 8. The discussion tonight revolved around the assignment and the management of the Section 8 program by the Housing Authority, which again is a voucher-based program. So that wouldn't all of a sudden create all the individual land. On the bill list tonight, you saw a fair amount of landlords.
No, I'm not questioning that part of it. I'm questioning the 580
That's still Section 9.
Yeah, are they exempt from the school taxes?
Yes, that's Housing Authority property, correct. They
So
live
then
in Housing Authority owned property.
The taxpayers in Phillipsburg are paying for those children to attend our schools.
I have to cut you off.
In our taxes.
I do appreciate your comment, but it has been 5 minutes, and I do thank you. Mr. Minor.
I'm Joe Minor. I live at 392 South Main Street in
Joe,
Phillipsburg.
before you complete that thought, I just realized I was extremely rude to both Councilman Davis and the mayor who wanted to speak to Bill, and I apologize.
I just wanted to clarify that, yeah, it's federal land that doesn't have to pay taxes at all, but the federal government is so kind as to actually give us something when they don't have to give us anything. It's not similar to the pilots that we've negotiated with developers where it's specific to an agreement. It's something that they've agreed that they're going to pay as a function of their being residents here. So I just wanted to edify that it's not the same as a developer pilot, even though the term is the same.
Thank you. Mayor, did you have something?
Yes, I did, Council
Please.
President. With the many businesses and large industry coming along, the mayor's office did recommend and council passed a resolution to provide money for an expert pilot attorney. We've been working diligently, Mr. Timmerman. I know this is a concern of yours, to make sure that we get our fair share of that pilot. And it involves education, it involves non-residential industry and types of business of that nature. And if you wish, with the council presidents and the council's permission, I can share with you the details of that pilot. I know that's been a question on your mind for many, many years, with council's permission.
I have zero, does anybody else have a problem? I don't have a problem with the mayor.
Public, right?
Yeah, it's public information.
And just, I want to add, that's never been done before. We've never hired, I don't think, council, that we ever hired an expert pilot attorney.
I believe you're correct, Mayor.
Council?
Yeah, he's not an attorney, but that's correct.
Yeah. He's not.
Consultant?
No.
He's a consultant.
He's a consultant.
I'm going to lower his pay.
Okay. Mr. Minor, I apologize.
Joe Minor, 392 South Main Street, Phillipsburg. Before I go on with what I was saying, I would like to reiterate what I think I heard. This one here.
This one here.
Aha. Wow.
You got it now, Joe.
Whew.
That could be a good
when Mr. Timmerman asked Mr. Wenner whether there was school tax paid as part of the existing pilot programs, he clearly said no. The school tax is not paid according to the existing ones. Now, that's what I know that there was some flim-flam that was presented that caused the pilot under the Perone construction. And though the council alleged, and it's not your, I don't want to waste my 5 minutes on more of that. Excuse me. Sunday, July 8th at 1:45 p.m., I would like to take 2 of you on, I decided. I wanted, at my storefront at 294 South Main Street, Bobby, you've chosen Bobby instead. Let me call you Mr. Fulper. I like that better. Mr. Fulper. And Mayor has said he would likely be there to talk about the redevelopment program.
At the pit, no.
Okay.
You got me on weight, Mayor. I'm not, I can see.
I would like to use my 5 minutes, please.
I'll grant you your time, Joe.
I would also please invite Mr. Ellis to be there, Mayor Ellis. I happen to be, and this will be a good chance for the 2 of you to really get together, I am against the redevelopment plan as I spoke at the previous meeting, and why I'm against it, and why it's a bad plan. Now, I would offer in 1998, I presented my first redevelopment plan to the UEZ, and they nodded politely. That was 98. Then in 2006, I presented a compromise plan that I was not completely even in favor of, but it was a compromise between the railroad people and Perone Construction, and it ended up with Perone Construction winning. But in the meantime, and I know he's out here somewhere, Mayor Wyant did come and hear my compromise proposal. It was real. He could just say that I did. He walked around and I showed him. My plan that I'd be trying to foist on the 2 of you is a better plan because it doesn't involve bringing a bunch of developers in. Rather, we take what we already have and make it pretty, not tear down with all the glitz. Those renderings in those presentations that you saw were definitely really highbrow stuff. We don't want that. That's the people in Phillipsburg don't want that. We want, at best, an extension of this walk program around town. We want pretty things, like the entrance to the canal to be pretty, like the downtown hotels that used to be, to maybe be actually sort of rebuilt and functioning, not new glitzy ones. not glass and steel, and oh yeah, aren't we expensive rental property? When I presented to Mr. Perucci at the planning board meeting what he could have done instead, his statement about his development was, and it made really clear the problem, well, my plan will make property values go up.
Joe.
He thought that was good. Well, that's bad. My 5 minutes are up.
Just
Thank
to clarify,
you very much.
you would like to see me and the mayor on July 8th at your place at what time?
1:45.
1:45.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much, Joe. Mayor, you got that?
Got it.
July 8th, 1:45.
How you doing? Thomas Nicolette, 868 Hill Street. Speaking of property value, ours is declining due to the sewer smell. I know this is not a sewer meeting, but I've been back and forth how many times? It's ridiculous. Last week was incredible. Incredible. You couldn't go outside. You couldn't have your windows open. It's getting ridiculous. Is there anything going to be done?
Council President.
Mayor, please.
I've been in touch with Mr. Nicoletti, and I do agree with him 100%. I parked across from his house, and it was terrible. There was no doubt. Your neighbors agree with you. I've been on the phone with Mr. Baranski. I met with Dennis Yoder, the engineer, and there's a story. Our council knows the story. It goes back to, well, let's take it back to 1950. Who builds a sewage treatment plant in the middle of town? But so be it.
And the entrance to your new
Yeah, exactly. Well, the canal towns were a little stinky, but moving on, you don't deserve that. Council, you're going to have to help me. 2 to 3 years ago, a biomagnetic system was put in, and it removes the heavy metals from the effluent. Although the river's cleaner, no one's swimming downriver of the disposal plant, trust me. And so what you're getting is the additional sludge with those heavy metals and two problems with the treatment plant with aerators and things like that. There is no way out of this but to put in an odor control system at the sewage treatment plant. And you have my support 100%. My problem, $2.5 million. We'll find it. I just recently obtained an Environmental Infrastructure Trust grant. I have to find out if I can use that for the disposal plant because it was meant for the sanitary sewer collection. Now, that's going to take a while. So I got a hold of Mr. Baranski and Mr. Yoder the other day. They came to my office. They are going down to McWayne Ductile. They have a type of sprayer, a large-scale sprayer.
Like a neutralizer?
Neutralizer, thank you. And they're going to place it on the roof of the disposal plant ASAP. I told them there's no time to lose. They're going to bill us, but we'll pick up the bill. And they're going to try to mask the smell the best they can when they can't control it. Some days it's controllable.
Well, like today when there's trucks in and out of there.
I know, exactly. It's that sludge. It's that sludge. We are running into a problem at the Patterson Utilities Authority. They will not, they're on the verge of not accepting that sludge because of its makeup. And that was something that was never anticipated when that biomagnetic system was put in. I don't know if the attorney can back me on this at all. I don't know how deep he was into it. But where are you? But it was something that should have been done when the biomag system was put in. Yes. So you do have a problem, and I go up to experience it. I have another gentleman who is kind of my litmus test that lives next to it, and he is as tough as you are, trust me. And I stop and talk to him. He'll walk right over there and let him know. So I'm going to do the best I can to mask it with, and I know this sounds silly, they were using a cotton candy scent, which, oh my God, mix that with poop and what do you got? But he is going to look, he's going to look into a pine scent that
I'm gonna 10 trees on the fence.
a pine scent that'll put you in Acadia National Park. But I understand, I come up when you called, and I would not want to hang my laundry out. I would not want to open my windows, nor would I want my children regurgitating on the carpet. You have support for me, and I will push Dan until he gets that up on the roof, and then I'll come back and talk to you and see what we can do.
Hopefully it's before the summer's over.
I agree. The hotter it gets, the worse it gets.
Mayor, I think I speak on behalf of all of council. Whatever you need to get this done, even if it's an emergency meeting, an emergency appropriation of funds, whatever we can do to get this done for them. I agree. I was up there myself for a graduation and a graduation party, and you can choke. It's thick.
It's going further and it's getting worse.
Right.
Yeah.
So whatever we can do to make this the forefront. I mean, I know the redevelopment's important as well. I think that it's just as important as the quality of life for these people.
Quality of life, right? You can't, you got to do it with your eyes closed. What I will need from you is to allow me to move the sewer money over into capital.
It's fine. I don't think council would have a problem with that if it's going to alleviate the issue.
Opposite?
You mean capital into sewer?
The sewer capital has to be moved over into the capital plan to buy the equipment.
Yeah.
And then, okay.
Yeah.
That won't be a problem. Do you want us to do that tonight, or do you want us to?
No, let me get you a number. Mr. Bransky and Mr. Yoder are putting together numbers for the masking system.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I appreciate that. Why am I am so scared right now, Mr. Rieger. No, go ahead, please.
Regardless of one's political philosophy, one has to be very proud to see the effort made by the residents of Phillipsburg to come to town council meeting, which I don't do enough. And I also applaud my council members, who I'm proud of all of them, the commitment they make, the time they take to guide our town to become a better town. And yeah, we all know the problems in Phillipsburg. I mean, we know, not all of them, but we know there are some problems. But I applaud all of you for your commitment and time to making Phillipsburg better. However, you probably thought there'd be a however. This idea of a vote of no confidence, I'm not going to ask where this came from. I don't know if it's real, if it's not real. I think it's real. Regardless of who is thinking about introducing it, I don't think it's really necessary. I think the vote of confidence usually happens on election day. I mean, we could be discussing topics, direction that the town is going in, but I think this idea of a vote of no confidence of Mayor Ellis's performance will be determined on election day, should he choose to run again.
Agreed. May I? Is it okay if I address Mr. Rieger? Mr. Rieger, I will be 110% honest. Lost my temper, sent an email to the mayor. Those were my exact words. It wasn't a lie, it wasn't fictitious, those were my words. Overtures were made this morning. As you can see, we're getting along. We will be meeting later this week to further the town along, regardless of our personalities. I do believe at times our personalities conflict. I can appreciate that, but I can tell you that it was me.
Councilman Fulper, thank you for your honesty, and we have to remember we're all in this together.
Agreed.
We're all in this together.
Mr. Peters, how are you?
I'm good, thanks for remembering.
Yes, sir.
My name is Matthew Peters. I live at 92 Quimby Mountain Road in Great Meadows. I'd like to speak a little bit. Now, please understand I'm not political.
Yes, sir.
Nor do I try to be, and I don't really understand it. I know 4 years ago I was asked to help volunteer my time with a program. Since then, I have gone through some serious health issues. which were at time very, it was just a really bad time.
I'm sorry to hear that, sir.
The Phillipsburg wrestling family and the Steel Hill Bulldog wrestling family did more for me than my own family. Whether it was just somebody to talk to. I really think, again, I'm an outsider, I'm looking in. I live far away, but I'm down here every day. I volunteer my time as much as I possibly can to the youth of this town. Let's face it, not every kid in this town has the same opportunities as other kids. I think the staff, I think us as coaches are a little bit more than mentors to these kids. I think some of us, or some of them actually think of us as maybe a parent figure, if you will. These kids, they need a place to go. If not, this town is going to get worse, and I think we all know it. Some of these kids, this program is all they have. And these are the kids that are going to be taking care of us when they're our age. I think we need to give every kid in this town, every kid, the same opportunity equally. I feel the youth center is a huge part of not only the town, but the children of this town. I need the program that I'm involved with, the basketball program, the youth center itself. I need that program. I need the youth center more than they need me, especially at this point in my life. I would really hope that this becomes all about the kids, because that's what it should be. It should be about the youth of this town. And honestly, they're going to be taking care of us when they're our age, so I think we need to do right by them now. Just my opinion. Thank you for giving me the time.
Mr. Peters, thank you.
Wayne Feely, 237 Bowie Avenue. I messaged Danielle, Robert, and McVeigh to have the chief of police here today. During this meeting, I also called the mayor's office and left him a message to have the chief here, and I see he's not here. I want to know why this chief is not enforcing the 3 times law. When an officer shows up at a residence 3 times or more a year, why ain't they getting hammered? Why is the landlord getting hammered?
That I couldn't answer for you, but if you can you tell me which residence they're being called to?
Heckman Street. Was it 2428 Heckman? I mean, we got the CEO of the town here. Why can't he answer?
22. 22.
22.
Okay, so what I can do, Mr. Feely, is...
And it's all over town.
No, I understand.
It's all over town. I just want him here. I wanted him here to answer me. That's all. Because last time was because of an IT programmer.
I can certainly reach out to the chief and have him come in. I apologize. You said you text messaged me, or did you email me?
Maybe Facebook.
I have to be honest. Hardly, and many people know it, if you try and reach me on Facebook, it's almost impossible because...
It's like trying to get the chief here. They'll show up in Alpha, though.
I understand. But can I address that just so you understand? I did speak with the chief with regard to that, and the chief did state that he works for the mayor, so he gets to see the mayor here in Phillipsburg every day, whereas he does not get to see the mayor of Alpha every day. So he's able to let the mayor know everything that happens here in Phillipsburg on a daily basis, whereas he doesn't have that opportunity with the mayor of Alpha. That was his explanation to me. I have to take him on it because that's all that's all he provided me with.
All right. You're all pretty much familiar with the camera recording ordinance, correct?
I am.
Mayor? To you? Or you?
You can address me. You have to address me.
All right. I've been doing this for 9 years. I've been told to take my camera to the back of the room. Now I have a mini pod. I'm allowed here. But it's kind of funny now. All you watch WFMZ float around this whole room tonight. All around this room.
That was the meeting.
How are you going to handle that now? He's in violation of the ordinance.
I have to go back and take a look at the ordinance then, Mr. Feely, because I'll be quite honest with you, I didn't know that it would apply to the media.
Tripod.
I will take a look at it, but I did. Thank you, Mr. Feely.
Just a quick clarification on the pilot.
Yes, sir.
So the pilot, because there seems to be misinformation, not only disseminated, and a lot of confusion as to what the pilot's all about. And the pilot from the Housing Authority has been in existence since the late 40s, early 50s. It's based on a mathematical formula. In addition to the pilot, the Housing Authority pays a whopping sewer bill quarterly, and we pay taxes on our cell tower. But I sit here tonight, and I've attended other meetings where people get up and they talk about the Housing Authority, and they talk about the children coming out of the Housing Authority, almost with contempt that they're going to the public school system, and that the Housing Authority doesn't pay taxes. There is a state law that says everyone in New Jersey deserves an education, whether you come from the Housing Authority or Hillcrest Boulevard. But just to clear the air on the pilot, it's correct, the pilot goes to the town, and the town disseminates that money as they see fit. But in October, we also conduct a census of every school-age child that lives in the Housing Authority, and that's conveyed to the school district, and there is monies that come to the school district based on the number of school-age children living in the Housing Authority. So when people talk, and again, I could hear the contempt in their voice, like they don't deserve an education. There is monies, while it may not come directly from the Housing Authority, there are monies that go to the school district based on the population of school-age children living in the authority.
Mr. Rummerfield, you didn't hear that up here, though, not with council.
Not with council.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. That's definitely not something.
No, not with council. I did not hear that.
Thank you.
Council President.
Yes, sir.
To elaborate on Mr. Rummerfield's statement, the pilots from Ingersoll, the pilots from Chase, the pilots from Jet Car Wash, and the pilots from CVS, half of those pilots have to go to the county education department, the county.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Melissa Paulus, 26A Glen Avenue. Number one, I'd like to do a shout out to our first responders in the town. I've had a couple of incidents on my street. Number one was with the fire department at the vacant house next to me that I'm attached to. Chief Hay and the fire department, they responded immediately. There was a fire right across the street from my house. Again, between the police department and the fire department, they came within minutes of that being reported. And most recently, Saturday night, a neighbor across the street had fallen. I don't know who the officer was that responded, but his actions actually brought the man back to life. Unfortunately, he did not survive. I think he succumbed to his head injuries. But I do want to recognize the first responders. I don't think they get enough recognition in town. Second of all, as everybody is very well aware, I've had some issues with the vacant properties in my neighborhood. Some of the properties that have recently been acquired that are being cleaned out to be renovated, most notably with the dumpster issues on my street, my neighboring streets. I started emailing the inspections department May 10th with pictures and noting that the vacant properties had overgrown grass. In the meantime, we had gotten a lot of rain. Things got very well overgrown. I emailed on a weekly basis of several properties that needed attention. I was told by the TCO that she had referred it to the newly hired inspector and that he would contact me. Again, I started May 10th, did it on a weekly basis. Received nothing. Until I posted it on Facebook, I got the response from the newly hired inspector. And then I got blasted by certain residents that I have a vendetta or a conspiracy against the mayor, whatever. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is, what is the protocol to bring these issues to the town's attention? Because I do believe that it is the town's responsibility, meaning the town employees and the mayor, to address these issues since there are ordinances in place.
I would assume, and then I will defer. It's not because it's just because I'm not a member of the administration, right?
I understand.
But I have seen some of the emails. I actually got tagged in the Facebook post. I was in Washington D.C. and I checked Facebook on the way home. Yeah, and Steve, I think I reached out to you that evening. I believe you contact the inspections department, if I'm correct. You speak with Ms. Vaughn and she dispatches the inspector. Then I would have to defer to the mayor because he does run the municipal building.
I am well aware of your complaints, and I stopped in the code office on multiple occasions to address your complaints. They're either backed up or they're in the process of addressing them, especially the dumpster, the overgrown grass up at the end of Glen Avenue, and multiple others. I can only offer you at this time that 3 inspectors, with Kevin being the construction code inspector, are having just a difficult time not addressing them, not violating them, getting them to cut it. And if they don't cut it, our DPW is cutting it. And if our DPW is cutting it, they're not picking up trash. We need a better way to get to these properties and cut the grass. I understand my nephew, I'm not afraid to say it, showed up with mowers and weed whackers and all types of equipment, and he did not get one person to help him. I've cut grass. I've gone out with mowers. I've done what I could to do it. We need a stronger code enforcement office. Council has just allocated $50,000, I believe. Is that correct? We lost our council president. And that will be put to good use. I meet with them Monday to try to organize a new code inspection system, which may or may not include a consultant. Because we just can't keep up with it. 570 vacant homes, 1,200 buildings with 3,000 apartments. And no disrespect to an apartment owner, but they are not going to take care of their home like you would. And so, yes, we have our hands full, and we acknowledge it. And we're going to do the best we can. I would recommend one thing, and that is when you see those dumpsters, you call the name on that dumpster and find out when that dumpster is supposed to be out of there. That would be a help to our code department.
My personal opinion, as well as in speaking with Chief Hay, you need to amend the ordinance when it comes to dumpsters, but that's totally different.
I don't disagree. They are a traffic hazard. They are an eyesore, and they smell. I mean, yes, there's improvements to be made. Council has afforded us the resources to do it. Monday morning there'll be a meeting.
But again, I started bringing this to the attention of the inspections department May 10th. This was an issue that had been brought up last year, so it's nothing new. But I want to point out that 2 of the properties that I brought to your attention are directly across from the municipal building.
Very well aware of those.
Well, again, you're trying to attract investors. You're trying to redevelop the town. How does it look when you bring people into the municipal building for whatever reason? Right across the street, you have these properties that are not being maintained. You have ordinances in place that would take care of that. Again, this grass, Mr. Fusi could not do the grass. It wasn't that he didn't have help. From what he told me was some of that grass was taller than him, that there was no way that a mower and a weed whacker was going to take care of it. Your DPW worked on that one property at 113 Fillmore last year for a full day. That lien was $500. I honestly don't believe the DPW worker should be exposed to the conditions that it currently is under.
Ms. Pauls, you reached your 5 minutes.
Well,
I know. Thank you.
I didn't do half of the talking. I think I was.
I apologize. Did you wish you 45? I had left the room. Yeah. Is there anyone else?
Tim Berger, 295 Fillmore Street, Phillipsburg. Real quick on the dumpster situation. We can't renovate vacant units and not have a dumpster. Okay, my brother and I just did one up on Fillmore Street. We didn't use a dumpster. We used a dump truck. We parked it in the back. But just understand, we can't say, hey, we got to get these places renovated, or but we don't want dumpsters on the street. Dumpsters, you go up to town hall, you got to pay for the permits, $15.
True.
You tell them how long the dumpster's going to be on the street. You got to put cones on all four corners of it, for the traffic, but you got to have them. Actually, the main reason I stopped here tonight, because I was furious. I was furious with Councilman Fulper. I was furious because of the vote for Mayor Ellis. I have the utmost confidence in Mr. Ellis. I have confidence in you too, Mr. Fulper. And I think that's why I was so angry, because I know you better than that. I know a lot of you better than the way everybody's been acting. Somebody mentioned about Facebook. Stay off it. Stay off it. Misery loves company. Stay off it. I got a better idea. Every time you want to go on to Facebook, for you religious ones, those who believe in God, you don't have to be very religious, pick up the Bible. Read a passage. You will learn more reading those passages than you'll ever learn on Facebook. And by doing that, I'm telling you, I don't want to get all religiously, but I've been going to that Bible a lot for you council members, for the mayor, for our town. We invest a lot of money up on Fillmore Street, my brother and I. Now my other two brothers are going to join in. And we want to buy all these shitholes, pardon my language, and we want to put money in them. And when you see this unit up here that we did, you'll be impressed. We don't even have it on the market yet. We got 5 offers on it. Okay, the value is going up. But you got to get people in there that are willing to put the money and the sweat into them and make them nice, and the people will come in. But to get back to what I said, pick the Bible up. We all, listen, we're not nasty haters. The Bible doesn't allow you to be a hater. So just stay on Facebook, everybody. That's all I'm asking you. Let God in your heart, He'll show you the way. You'll always be right if you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Berger.
Emil Brisson, 94 Bowman Street. I'll be quick. I just wanted to to give kudos to a newsletter that I received today by email from the town that I think went out to people who have provided their email addresses, and I thought it was very impressive. There was a couple highlights of businesses in town. Taste Buds on Main and Kumi's, along with some updates of things that are happening in town, some new businesses moving into town, and I thought it was a great job.
Thank you, Mr. Brisson. Anyone else?
Hi, Stephanie Strausser, 175 Prospect Avenue.
Hi, Ms. Strausser.
Hi. I know that the youth center is going to be providing aftercare service in the fall for our students, And I asked Mayor Wyatt on several occasions about cleaning up the lot that lies between the middle school and the youth center, addressing that person who owns that piece of property. It's always overgrown, the gates are always askew. I really think it's a danger for the kids.
No, I agree. That's the, that was supposed to be housing at one point in time.
Yeah, and it's just been laying empty. And I think now that we're going to have kids consistently walking from the elementary school to the youth center after school because they won't be busing them for aftercare, I really think that needs to be addressed by council.
Okay.
And the other thing I'd like to know is, can you tell us the time span on those overdue loans, when they were acquired? How old is the oldest one and how recent is the newest one?
Years ago.
Long time?
Oh, a long time.
So is that account shut down and frozen now? We're not using that? We're trying to straighten it out first? Or what's happening with it?
Council President, may I?
No, please.
No, Attorney Wenner will be going through the entire file that Attorney Troxel started. He is going to go through it to determine what borrowers need to step up to the plate.
I mean, I agree that you can't go after people for $100,000 to get a $10 paycheck, but I do agree with Mark that that's a lot of money. And when our taxes almost exceed where I live, $10,000, and I know Mark has a double lot, I think your taxes are quite hefty where you are too. Exactly. And so I just think that we have a right to find out how prosecutable those people are and to make sure that that fund is not still hemorrhaging.
Believe it or not, there are still people paying $10 a month.
That's outrageous.
Yeah, it is outrageous.
Okay. Anyway, the lot between the middle school and the youth center is my biggest complaint.
Council President, if I may, the lot between the middle school and the youth center is owned by the Ricca family. They were originally scheduled to build senior citizen housing, and it was turned down by the planning board.
Zoning board at the time.
He's paying, zoning board, thank you. He's paying a tremendous amount of taxes. I can't even understand how he can hold on to it. But I want to share something with you. If you look at the youth center property all the way over to the Phillipsburg Housing Authority, that is the most attractive greenway I've ever seen. You could literally walk from Roseberry Street through the middle school to the youth center without encountering any traffic but Warren Street. It needs to be purchased by Green Acres, but we have a little diversion problem. Somebody sold the Brenziger School and we got to pay for it. Once we get that paid for, you will see Green Acres money coming your way, and he wants to sell it to Green Acres. Great. So,
well, that's good to know, but I mean, at least if they could clean it up and secure it before our kids are walking back and forth there
I agree.
in the fall, that would be great.
I agree.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Osmond. Okay, we can move forward. Is there anything else here? So there is no personnel discussion. So council open time, and I will go with Councilman Lewis.
I don't have anything.
You're very welcome, Councilman. Council Vice President DiGirolamo.
Just two things that came up this week. I got a message that Walters Park is closed to the public Monday through Friday. Is that true?
No.
Okay. And the pool is not opening until July 16th?
Wednesday it'll be open. It's about...
is that a misprint then?
It is. It's about halfway full right now. We've had problems. Aqua, I'm sure Mr. Berger knows about this. He fills his tub up every day, and it's browner before he gets in than when he gets out. No, I'm just joking. But the pool, we cleaned that pool, the sides, the bottom, the ladders, and now it's covered in brown, whatever's coming out of Aqua. But it will be filled by Wednesday, Councilwoman DiGirolamo, and then we'll have to clean it again and filter it. But we will be open at 12 o'clock on Wednesday.
Okay, not July. Very good.
Not July.
That's it.
Thank you, Council Vice President. Councilman Davis?
Gonna show my my bias, but just a big kudos to Sydney Hawkins on her performance at Meet Champions and Nationals.
I'm biased.
Yeah, that's it. For those who don't know, Sydney, in addition to winning the Meet Champions in the 100 meters, also placed third at the New Balance national championship meet in her off event, which is 200 meters. Just an astounding performance from an astounding young woman. Just all the congratulations in the world to her.
And she's the fastest in the state.
Yeah, and I just want good luck to her on July 1st when all those colleges start calling. So that's all.
Thank you, Councilwoman Bay.
Two things. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight for whatever reason. Some of you are new, some of you are not. Some of you just have been away for a while, but as you can see, even with a very full agenda and a full room, that we had a good night here on the dais. For some that think that it's a partisan council, I'm very proud of our council. I say it from time to time in spoken word and in written email. There were a few votes tonight that were very mixed up. So as you can see, it is not partisan. It's a smart and thinking and working council, and that's what I want to entrust everybody out there, everybody that is beyond out there to understand. Our names are on here. My political affiliation is not. Neither was Councilman Davis or anyone to my right. So try to keep that in mind. We are working very hard. Speaking of working hard, because we do want to make Phillipsburg a better community. I know there's a lot of talk of the redevelopment. Fantastic. I actually even like Mr. Minor, some of the things he said tonight regarding, keeping what we have. That was a promise I made when I first started running about building, working with what we had from the inside out. With that being said, I just want to, again, reiterate to the mayor that he has my full cooperation in putting together a quality of life conference here with our town, with our department heads and people outside committees, boards, or anyone that wants to help. And what that's going to do is it's going to born a mission statement. It's going to born a strategic plan that we all can work with. People that are employed by Phillipsburg, volunteers, anyone that wants to put their hand on it. So again, I would like to move forward with that because it gives us something to look at, to touch out once something is born out of the documents, to get that going. And what I mentioned about the redevelopment is there's a lot of smart people that have their hands on that. I just want to let the folks know out there, I know from a personal standpoint, I'm not forgetting about the people on Hill Street that smell that horrible odor all the time, and that everyone up here is trying to work hard to correct that. I got a message earlier from a senior couple up there that never reach out to me, that shocked me, that said that, and they are on Hill Street. So that is a problem, and many other problems we have here. And more importantly, I made a promise it's all of Phillipsburg gets attention. So I may let the very, very intelligent developers and the supporters of the redevelopment move forward. My mind is also set on the different pockets of town. Again, I had 7 addresses. I lived in this town, all over the place. So I will just champion your cause, and if you're not downtown in the redevelopment, I'm here for you to just let you know that whatever problems you have, I implore you, please call me, please email me, stop by my house, or we'll meet somewhere. I'd love to hear it. So thank you very much, and again, thank you for coming out tonight. It's very impressive. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. I guess, Mayor, the one thing I do want to do is I looked over a complaint that I had earlier today with regard to on Sundays. I guess there's parking issues downtown by St. Philip's and St. James Church. Some cars are having trouble getting through.
Stockton Street is chock full of cars, and Main Street is full. The only lot that's available for parking is back by Howard Street.
Right.
Yeah, I am worried about that. I'm worried about heavy industrial trucks coming down Stockton. The alley's full, and the father has concerns about it. I'm not sure what we can do yet, but...
Well, I don't want to start taking them because I don't want God mad at me.
There is one thing.
Yes.
One thing I forgot.
Sure.
We just obtained a lease with Norfolk and Southern on the abandoned railroad bed by Stockton. It's strictly for parking.
Really?
Yes.
Excellent. All right, that would be great. The one resident, he was very upset, and the second resident wasn't so bad, but I figured I'd bring it up tonight at the meeting.
Is there going to be a resolution for that?
There would have to be a resolution to adopt the lease, of course.
Is that the Norfolk Southern lease that we had?
That's the Norfolk and Southern in Stockton and Cherry Alley.
Okay.
Both east and west. Limited west because the residences, but all the way up to, is it Fachone who does the insulation?
Pachoni.
All the way up to Pachoni.
I'll let Councilman Lutz email you with some of the questions that he had regarding the lease. We had gone through it.
He's impacted.
Other than that, Mr. Berger, you're 110% correct. Facebook is horrible. Yeah. I gave you that extra 10%, right? Your own daughter, she's shaking her head right now. No, you know what? I got to agree with you with regard to Facebook. And what I will say is to those who either support one person or another, one party or another, man, I logged onto that page. And, you know, a lot of people don't know, Steve and I go way back. And, you know, when I saw a lot of the stuff being said, like man, we are an ugly society. We're an ugly town right now. We really, really, really need to grow up and move forward. And I mean that in a sense with regard to the comments that are being spewed back and forth. Listen, if the mayor and I can stand up here and have a conversation, our supporters should be able to have the same kind of conversation on social media or out in the mall or we're out in the street. If Councilman Davis and I can have a 20-minute conversation coming home, I know he was cutting out most of the time, but if we can have a conversation, regardless of our party, why can't everybody else? So I'm going to ask our supporters, your supporters, the entire town of Phillipsburg, stop. Because you have no idea who your neighbors are, who's watching. Your kids are reading this stuff. Just stop. That's it. That's all I have to say. I appreciate you coming out tonight. I understand you all came out here to support the mayor. I think it was a heck of a display. Your email system worked. I mean, I'd like to get a hold of that as well. Thank you. Can I get a motion to adjourn? So moved. Second. Good. Have a good evening.